Hey, hey, hope you're having an awesome day. You got Pregnant Char here, whoop whoop. And today I'm super excited to share this concept with you. And it's all about adding in things that serve you with your nutrition, okay? So I've got some stuff here to show you, and so much of society and the diet industry is telling you what you can't have. And what I've found in focusing and studying the psychology of eating is that when we tell ourselves we can't have something, we end up wanting it more and giving it more of our power, more of our energy. And so, I'm just not into telling people what to eat and what not to eat. I'm more passionate of saying, hey, these are awesome things that will nourish your body, and how can we, you and me together, come up with a plan that you can incorporate these things in a way that works for your life. So, I'm not a person that follows meal plans or recipes to a T. I like them for inspiration. However, I'm all about really just starting to make additions to your nutrition that will help you and that you can sustain, if that makes sense. So I know some people like the extreme, some people want to know exactly what to do, and I get that because sometimes I want to paint by numbers, recipe approach. However, over the years I've realized to have the freedom with food that I crave, it's more for me about finding small ways to elevate my nutrition instead of focusing on what I can't have, if that makes sense. So I just want to share a few additions that I've made over the last few years and I think you would benefit greatly from making. So the first one I want to share is fat. Now I've got a few sources of fat. I've got my almonds here, I've got an avocado here, I've got my fish oil here. And so fat, a lot of people, especially because in the 80s, fat got demonized and we were told that fat was causing all these heart problems, and we kind of started to avoid fats. And I know I grew up, product of the 80s, low fat everything, low fat skim milk, low fat yogurt, everything was low fat. And the issue with low fat is that when you don't have fat in your food, there's nothing to turn off your hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin. So you'll always be hungry and you'll never feel full and satisfied, so you'll be always thinking about food. And that's an issue because when you think about food, you're probably gonna eat food, right? And so we wanna eat fat so that it turns off our hunger and that we can just enjoy our day without feeling hungry all the time. And if you've ever done a low-fat diet, you'll be able to attest to this. You're hungry all the time because the carbs are just burning off and then you have nothing left in your body, okay? So fat is more calorie dense than carbohydrate or protein, and so I'm not saying eat an entire bag of nuts. I'm saying eat a reasonable portion of nuts, like maybe a handful, but I've never met a client who was eating too much fat. I've only ever met clients that were overweight because they were eating too much carbs. So I would not be afraid of fat if I were you. That's my personal opinion. That's what I've seen in my 10 years in this industry. And it's not saying go add a bunch of like crappy saturated, crazy Twinkies or something. No, I'm saying add in healthy fats. Salmon is amazing, fish oil is amazing, avocados, all kinds of nuts, all kinds of seeds. So that's one tip for you. Don't be afraid of fat, and know that it is going to keep you satisfied far longer than any other foods that you eat. Okay, so just think about that, play around with that, push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit with that. And one last thing I'll say is that usually when you buy things that say low fat on them, very often the fat has been stripped out, but sugar or preservatives or salt or some kind of other flavoring has been added in, which I would say is worse for your health long term than any fat would be, okay? So that's fat. I want you to add fat, okay? The next thing I want to talk about is greens. Now I've got my head of broccoli here. I've got my greens powder here. And the thing about greens is there's nobody that won't benefit from more greens. They're nourishing, they give you energy. Basically, half a cup of broccoli has about 3 grams of carbohydrates, okay? And so for how much nutrition you're getting for such a voluminous, fibrous food is amazing. And so if you start to eat things like green leafy vegetables and broccoli and stuff like that, you're gonna start to notice that you're full and you're getting all this nutrition and you're not getting a ton of calories. And that's gonna help you release fat a lot easier than if you're always just eating carbs like rice and bread, and you're filling up on those things. So by adding in more fibrous carbs and vegetable carbohydrates, you're just not going to have as much room for the other type. I'm not saying don't eat bread, don't eat pasta, don't eat rice. I'm just saying eat more of the more nutrition-dense carbohydrates, and then you won't have as much space for the other ones, if that makes sense. So instead of focusing on what you can't have, focus on what you can have. I love to add a scoop of greens to my water every morning. It starts my day with vitality, with energy. I feel so much better when I do it. And it also shifts my mindset because I've done something healthy for myself first thing in the morning. It just ripples into the rest of my day. So I encourage you, obviously we love these greens. We've got our mint flavor now, so they are way yummier than the natural flavor. We're just finishing off this one, but this is a great practice. And I just want to tie that into my last tip for you is fiber, okay? So this is my psyllium fiber. I buy it from just like a health food bulk store. Community Foods is where I got this. And then I put it in a little container so it's nice and easy. And then every morning when I have my greens, I also put about half a tablespoon, sometimes a full tablespoon of fiber. I stir it all up, I chug it all back. I'm into mindful eating and savoring my food. However, this is kind of the exception. I'm not savoring it necessarily. However, I'm putting it in my body. And what's amazing about fiber, well, there's lots of things. It fills you up, which is great. And one of my favorite benefits is it actually scrubs your colon. So as it moves through your body, it scrubs your colon and it cleans everything out, which is awesome because a lot of us aren't getting enough fiber, which means we have old poo literally sitting in our colon, toxifying our body. And so the more we can move things through, the less toxins are in our body. And one reason people hold fat is because the fat is protecting you from your own toxicity, which is crazy. So the more you can move toxicity out of your body, the less you're gonna hold it, if that makes sense. And this is a great way. And I used to go for, this is gonna be TMI, but I used to go for colon hydrotherapy, where they'd actually put water in your colon and move things out of there, because I had a lot of digestive issues after I broke my back, because I was on so many pain drugs. I was on 7 different painkillers because my neuropathic pain was so bad that I didn't have a bowel movement for weeks, if you can imagine. And so I had a lot of issues getting my colon moving again. And my colon hydrotherapist was telling me Elvis Presley, obviously we all know Elvis, he would only eat steak and potatoes. He even said that publicly all the time. He would never eat vegetables. And when they did his autopsy, I think they said his colon alone weighed between 30 and 40 pounds. So he had so much old stuff in there that hadn't moved through because he never ate fiber. So eat fiber, it's amazing. Those are kind of the 3 I wanted to share with you. Fat is your friend. Add more healthy fats, because when you add something like a healthy fat, you won't be as hungry for the other stuff. Add more greens and add more fiber. So I'd love to hear how you found this video, if you thought that was helpful, and also what's your favorite nutritional addition. I don't want to hear what you don't eat, because we don't want to focus on that. We want to focus on what do you put. What are some things that you do eat that really you believe help you on your health journey, so we can all learn from each other. So I'd love to hear any comments you have. Love to hear what you do eat that helps you on your health journey, and have an amazing, amazing day. Mwah!